Still, yep, there you are. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Just a, all right, we're live. All right. So what we'll do is we'll do the 2-minute intro, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of let you know when we need to, kind of wrap it up.
Okay.
And I've got some trivia questions to ask, which will be kind of fun. They're sports trivia, but they're not esports. Yeah. Let's see. These are kind of tough. So maybe we don't have to do it. We could just kind of I can save these for Bruce.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown. Now, my co-host, Bruce McGowan, can't make it today. He is a longtime sports radio personality, but today's show is going to be special because I do have a guest. It is Aaron Hawkey, who is co-founder of High School Esports League. And well, you know what? I'll just welcome you to the show right now. How are you, Aaron?
I'm great. How about you?
Very good. Very good. It's kind of interesting because we were talking off air about all this video watching of people playing video games, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. Let's see here. You can listen to Sports Econ 101 on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Sports Byline USA, and CRN. I want to make a quick mention here. Now, I know it's going to sound funny, but I drank this energy drink called Go Girl. I know it says Go Girl on it, but the reason I like it is because it has the caffeine, doesn't make you crazy, doesn't give you the crash, tastes really good, and has no sugar in it. So, and also, it's, believe it or not, it's I think the least expensive of all the energy drinks.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you get it, Safeway, that sort of thing. So check them out too at just go to the store and ask for Go Girl. I like saying that. Go Girl. That's right. I like to say that. Go Girl. All right. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5% secured by real estate in California. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what is esports and how it's working with you, because you're concentrating mostly in the high school field, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure it goes on to the college level too. But,
yeah, it sure does.
Okay, but we'll talk a little bit about everything on that, all right? So
great.
Don't touch that dial, audience. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be right back. All right, so that's our first little intro.
Great.
Yeah, if I had to do this all by myself, it'd be crazy. Because trying to do a show while you're,
Yeah, talking to yourself.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to do a soliloquy.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
This is going to be for June 16th. So if you want to listen live to this, with all the commercials and everything, and the music, it'll be this Saturday at 1 p.m. and you go to Sports Byline USA. Because if you go to the other ones, like iHeart and all that, they are like a week or two behind.
Right.
So if you want to listen live, yeah. Okay. Okay, so this segment is 9:45. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to talk about on this. It opens up a whole world.
No, yeah, it does.
Really see that. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here. Our favorite co-host, Bruce McGowan, is off today. But we do have a special guest, Aaron Hawkey, who is co-founder of High School Esports League. Aaron, welcome back to the best. I have another radio show called The Best of Investing. I got to get those two to. I can't mix them up. Okay, this is Sports Econ 101. Of course, you could have been on both shows. So, Anyway, tell us a little bit about, well, tell us all about what this whole thing about esports and that they have leagues and video games, etc.
Sure. So an esport can be defined as any video game played competitively, and esports has been growing over the past 20 years. I mean, StarCraft.
20 years?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It all really started with StarCraft, the first real esport. It's a RTS, which stands for real-time strategy. So the way that I like to explain it is it's like five-dimensional chess, but really fast. Supersonic five-dimensional chess.
I'm wondering where 5 dimensions would be, but okay.
Yeah, so basically you just try to destroy the opponent's base, but there's a lot of other things that you can do. But yeah, it all started with StarCraft, and it had a huge root within Korea, and it just blew out from there, and more titles came around and started building upon that.
I mean, the first thing I think of is like Dungeons and Dragons. I never played it, but that was a big one, I guess, 20, 30 years ago or whatever. But I don't know, did people, I'm trying to think of like, because the internet kind of really came out strong in the late 90s, I guess. Right?
Yeah. And that's kind of when StarCraft came out as well. So,
okay.
And online play and everything like that. So.
Okay, and for us novices who are older than 40, way older than 40, what kind of game is StarCraft?
I described it as a real-time strategy. It's a video game. It's on computers.
Okay.
So you could probably, if you see people playing it or you Google it, it'll look like someone furiously typing at their keyboard and moving their mouse around a lot. But basically, they build up their base and they make an army and try to destroy their opponent's base. So that's just basically a high-level overview. But there's tons of different mechanics within the game on how you build up your base, build up your army, and different things like that. And that's what makes it really complicated. And you have to think about all the other things that are going on in the map as well.
Okay. So you have to think way outside the box on something like that.
Right.
Okay. So you have this StarCraft.
Yeah, StarCraft was the one that started it, but it's kind of fallen off a little bit, and other game types have really grown in the last 8 years.
What's the most popular right now?
League of Legends is definitely the most popular. Huge player base, and it's a MOBA, and that there's tons of acronyms, but basically it's the same kind of concept as StarCraft, but instead of building an army, you are the army. So you have 4 other teammates, so it's teams 5-on-5, and you try to destroy the other person's base with the abilities that you have and the character that you play.
Do you choose the character at the beginning of the game?
Exactly.
And it changes each time?
Each time you play, yes, you can choose different characters, but there's a list of characters that you can choose from. Each character has their own ability, and you just go in and try to kill the other person's base.
So like the Fantastic Four, one guy might be a rubber, another guy might be flames or something.
Yeah, something like that, exactly. And they all have a different skill set.
And how, kind of walk me through this, because I'm a little confused. Like I said, I've had 6 years of high school and that still didn't help. So how does it work where, let's say, what are the different abilities that some of these characters have? Like invisible or something? One guy's invisible or something?
Yeah, someone could be invisible. That might be like a passive ability, so they don't have to click any buttons to make that ability happen. So that's just kind of something that just happens inherently. There's buttons that you can click that make different attacks. So maybe you can make a wall of flames or something like that.
Okay, and you're trying to attack another person's army.
Yeah, the other army, which is the other 5.
Okay, it's like 5-on-5. Yeah, so
exactly.
It's like a basketball team. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, and then how do you communicate with your team members to attack the other? And is it to take over someone's base, basically?
Yeah, just to destroy the base and be victorious. So
capture the flag.
Exactly. It's sort of that game style. So there's tons of different voice services out there on your computer that you can install. Personally, I use Discord. That's like everybody uses that, and it's a chat platform as well as a voice communication platform. So you'll hop into a room with your friends and talk over the computer. So it's basically just like a phone call.
But the other team can't hear you.
The other team can't hear you because it's private. Some games actually have their own voice call system built into the game itself, so you can actually be talking to teammates that you randomly matched up with.
Okay. You said something like, "Hey Joe, watch out for the dragon behind door number 2."
Exactly. And there's a lot of different communication that goes on, especially during really intense moments where, say, it's a 5-on-5 fight for a certain objective on the map. So you have to communicate everything that's going on and how the team members orient themselves in the battle.
Okay, and this has gotten big. I mean, because it's not just a situation of just 5-on-5. Now you actually have stadiums filled watching these guys play,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a few years ago, the World Championships, which is the international championships for League of Legends, sold out the World Cup Stadium in Seoul, Korea. And
How many people? Is that 300,000 people?
It's a lot of people. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's massive. They had the whole stadium filled, and they had chairs and general admission on the field as well. And they had a huge stage, huge production. Lots of popular bands played beforehand. It's a huge ordeal for sure.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I wonder how much they charge to get it to.
I don't know how much they charge, but the tickets were pretty expensive.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a huge deal.
Because I know that even Staples Center, LA Lakers, where they play, sold out.
Yeah.
That's only 20,000, but still.
Yeah, and that was a couple years ago as well. So the World Championships happen every year for League of Legends, and they travel the world and have the world event in different countries. So I think I'm not 100% sure on where it's going to be this year, but in the next couple years it should be back in the United States.
How many people do you estimate play these games?
Millions upon millions.
Yeah.
I think I don't have the exact statistics, but it's a lot.
I remember
a couple years ago. I think it was like close to or just over 1% of the world's population played League of Legends.
Wow,
that's
60 million or something.
Exactly,
just
that's a lot of people. Yeah, and they had a huge player base. Logged in at once. I forget what the number that capped off at. Fortnite is a new video game that's starting to emerge as an esport that launched just 6 months ago, and they had reported huge revenues and profits this year, and it's really growing. And they have a huge player base. I'm sure if you talk to anyone between the ages of 5 and 20, if you say Fortnite, they know exactly what you're talking about.
What is it in real? What in non-video terms? Fortnite is what, 20 days? I can't remember now. Fortnite is there's a real military term for Fortnite, but anyway, be that as it may. And I think it was World of Warcraft or something like that, where people were playing like for 20 hours at a time.
Yeah.
People were like losing their jobs because they were playing video games so much.
Yeah, World of Warcraft was a kind of a different beast. It wasn't necessarily an esport, but it was more of a casual MMO, really intense.
You can't use these acronyms. I have no idea what you mean. What's an MMO?
MMO is massively multiplayer online, so you can get into a giant server with a massive amount of people and play with them and interact with them.
Yeah, because I know, like, I think it's really simple. Online poker. You can just enter a poker tournament and just kind of take a seat online, and that's actually kind of fun. Especially if you're not playing for real money.
For sure.
I got a funny story. I'm going to tell a funny story about the online poker when we return from our break. I tell you, this goes fast. Let me see. I'm going to write this down. Online poker story. Okay. That'll remind me exactly what I want to talk about. All right. So we're in the studio here with Aaron Hawkey, who's co-founded High School Esports League, which we'll get into specifically what the high school angle of this is. And, how do people make money? How do you make money? Etc. So don't touch that dial because you're listening to Sports Econ 101, and we're going to be right back. Good. It goes fast.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's good. And if you have to cough, do exactly that. I have the same problem myself. Kansas City. Well, pretty warm there right now, I got to think.
Yeah, it's pretty warm.
Humid.
Yeah.
Why Kansas City? Is a big.
Yeah, we found a lot of our schools were coming out of the Midwest, so it's also nice to be centrally located as well. And we're by the NAIA and the NACE. Sorry.
Now, I said I teased the audience a little bit with I was going to give a quick little online poker story. So this was back in the early 2000s, and I guess online poker just kind of started
Right.
kind of popular,
Yeah.
right? So I went on this online poker, and I thought, this is kind of fun, especially since I'm not playing with real money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they also had that chat room basically on the side where you
Yeah.
could, like people would say, "Hey, nice hand," or something like that. So one time, I again, because I'm not playing with my own money, it was Texas Hold'em, and I probably should have, if I was playing real, I would have folded.
Right.
But because it wasn't my money, I said, who cares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I pulled like an inside straight, and I won the hand.
Nice.
And so this one guy chats. He says, "What are you doing? You should have folded," and blah 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 blah. And he was kind of getting a little nasty.
Yeah.
So I typed back. I said, "Whoa, calm down, sport. It's just having fun." And he writes back, "Don't call me sport." And then about 2 minutes later, you can see when someone leaves the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just says, player number 3 exited or something, right? And so I type back to everyone else. I go, "Boy, I thought he'd never leave." People, "Oh, that's funny." Yeah. Anyway, it was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting that you brought that up, because toxicity is kind of an issue within the esports community. So people are typing in those chats some mean comments and stuff, but that's kind of something that we aim to solve with the high school esports league for sure.
Okay, so get into specifically. It's called High School Esports League.
Correct.
Okay, and to tell me more about specifically your company, what you guys do.
Sure. So we bring esports to high school. So competitive video gaming, we offer 14 different games. League of Legends, we were talking about that earlier. That's one of our biggest ones, but there's also a lot others out there. CSGO is one of them. Dota 2. There's a lot of big esports titles, and we work to integrate that into the school and start school clubs. Yeah.
Okay. So what do? You approach the administrators first and say something, and apparently you were mentioning off air that you're located in Kansas City.
Right.
You're getting better traction in the Midwest?
Yeah, Midwest is a huge driver. Usually the student will do some research and find out about our leagues, go and start a club, find a teacher, and then enroll all their students into the high school esports league.
And does it cost anything for them to do that?
Yes, currently it's $5 a month.
Per student?
Per student. Right.
Okay.
And for the summer open, we're doing something a little different. So you don't have to be affiliated with the school to be able to participate in the high school esports league.
Okay.
And students can participate to win scholarships.
It's interesting. I was thinking that, it's like if you're playing, let's say, football,
right.
Someone who's 25 is probably better than a 15-year-old. But
mm-hmm.
on video games, I don't know. Sometimes the
yeah.
15-year-olds or the 9-year-olds are the best ones.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
totally.
You don't have any advantage being older in this case.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of practice, and it's all about the time that you put into it and the effort that you take to learn the game and all the different mechanics that are going on, and things like that. And the accessibility and the inclusivity of it is great. So you don't have to be a huge athlete. You don't have to have a lot of physical capabilities to be able to participate in esports, earn scholarships, and move on to the next level.
I mean, I can see that because, again, when I was a kid, pinball machines,
right.
and everyone had their favorite, and we wouldn't necessarily talk about strategy per se,
mm-hmm.
But it was a different kind of game. You didn't have teams so much like that. But we were talking off air about how, like, I play Hearts on
mm-hmm.
on my phone, and I don't play it online per se against real human beings. I play it against the computer. So somehow
mm-hmm.
the computer has some kind of, computer in the phone has some kind of algorithms or something. And the interesting thing that I found is that I've become a better Hearts player because I figured out certain strategies that I didn't realize when I would be playing live.
Right.
And it's not because the computer itself has done anything, but I started realizing the more I played,
mm-hmm.
I came up with certain things. So I'm thinking it's got to be kind of the same way in these.
Oh, it's exactly the same. In fact, it might be tenfold. So there's tons of different mechanics that are going on in these games, different strategies that you can come up with, and there's huge maps that you play on, and there's different things that you can take advantage of, and everything changes in each game. So there might be different situations that you have to play around, and you have to prepare for that.
And I could see that because, again, you don't have to past college age or something. I mean, you could have some high school players be some of the best in the world.
Exactly, exactly. We've had a lot of kids recruited out of our league. So we're partnered with the National Association of Collegiate Esports.
Wow,
And
there's a whole big association like that. Okay.
Yeah, and they're kind of they kind of model the NCAA. They're kind of the governing body of collegiate esports. They have over 70 member institutions. The vast majority of them offering collegiate scholarships, and we've had over 100 kids recruited from our league since January.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, who knows? Maybe they'll have it'll be in the Olympics. You know, I mean, I'm not really being facetious when I say that, because you never know what.
There's actually plans for it to be in the next Olympics.
Is it really?
Yeah, at least as an auxiliary sport. I think for the Winter Olympics, they had a side-by-side tournament that was sponsored by the Olympics for esports, and I think it was StarCraft and a Olympic game.
I mean, I could definitely see that in the Olympics, specifically because, like you said, it's more. You don't have to necessarily be, the biggest, strongest person.
Oh yeah.
And so, you might get some of these smaller countries who, they don't really, let's say they can't compete against, let's say, the United States in basketball. But on the esports, and since it has become so popular, like you said, millions of people are playing this stuff. It's just amazing. And you were mentioning earlier, also off air earlier this morning, about how much money some of these guys make.
Yeah, Ninja is like one of the top streamers currently. He was famous for breaking the Twitch record. I think he had over 500,000, 600,000 concurrent viewers watching him live when he brought Drake, famous rapper, onto the stream and played Fortnite with him. And I think he nets close to $300,000 to $500,000 a month.
That's how much he makes. And that's based on 600,000 people watching him on any one point in time?
Exactly.
And who pays him that?
The people that watch him do pay that from the ad, and then also the ad revenue that comes off of it as well. People can subscribe to his channel, and it's $5 a month basically, and they get different incentives for subscribing to it.
Wow, he's got a good marketing agent.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you think about it, I mean, that's incredible.
And he's also super talented at the game too.
He's like got to be.
That. Yeah.
I mean, because nobody would watch me play. I get killed with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder how he got started.
He was I don't want to speak wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was a Halo pro. So he used to be really good at the game Halo, and it was kind of a sci-fi first-person shooter type game.
Okay.
And that the scene kind of dwindled away, and then he kind of gained prominence playing Fortnite and streaming that.
And but I'm still wondering, it's like, let's say I'm really good at a specific game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do I go up the ranks?
That's a good question.
Right. I mean, because I was just thinking about, let's say, professional golf, right?
Yeah.
It's not like anybody can just walk into the PGA and just say, I want to play against Tiger Woods, as an example.
For sure.
I mean, you've got to work your way up the ranks.
Exactly.
And it's got to be the same way.
Yeah, it is pretty similar. Each game has something different built into their game. So there's a rank system, for instance, in League of Legends, and you work up those ranks and you play in ranked battles against other players, and you work up those ranks and try to get to the top tier.
I wonder how long it takes.
A long time, and a lot of people don't even make it. Some people have dumped 10,000 hours into the game, and still they're.
Well, especially if you got millions of people playing.
Yeah.
I mean, in golf, you don't necessarily have millions of people who try to become a professional golfer.
Exactly.
So actually, this esports, it's harder to be a pro, so to speak.
It can be pretty hard, and also there's a lot of people that play ranked and they're not really trying to go pro or anything like that. They're just having fun and trying to get competitive. That's kind of the beauty of it. Anybody can pick it up and be competitive at the game.
I wonder if this guy Ninja, whoever he is, great name. How long do you think he plays per day? How many hours?
Hours. I think he puts in 8-hour streaming sessions. I mean, I haven't done a lot of research on him particularly. I don't really watch him personally, but I hear about him a lot in the industry. And he has to put in probably 8 hours a day playing the game.
That's literally 8 hours
in
front of the computer.
Yeah. You might have a break and just.
I'm taking a break for 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Just bring some food in.
Yeah. And people get watching me.
While playing games.
While playing games. Well, it sort of reminds me. I don't know if you ever heard of the show, the movie The Truman Show with Jim Carrey, But
Okay.
that was kind of like almost the first reality type of thing, where basically it was a story about him as a little kid, and this secretly they were filming him growing up. And I mean, people would watch him, and people would be at a bar and they turn on the show, The Truman Show, and he might be sleeping. He's like 2 months old.
Yeah.
What's Truman doing now? And then it follows his life until he's married, and everything is fake.
Right.
Fake wife, fake this, fake that. And I mean, it's kind of a little bit of an odd type of interesting, because it kind of showed how people were interested in other people's lives.
Yeah.
And in this case, people watching other people play video games, not playing it themselves, but watching other people. So
yeah,
it's sort of like going to a football game. I'm not
exactly
quarterback, but I can watch the quarterback.
Right. Yeah, and you can watch them practice and interact with them.
Now, people don't watch other people practice the video games, though, do they? They watch them just in tournaments, don't they?
No, they're pretty much just practicing playing for fun. So they'll just queue up in a match. It's not necessarily a tournament, so they'll just queue up and play with the other individuals, and that's pretty much their practice.
And if I wanted to, let's say, play against Ninja or somebody, how would I do that?
Currently for Fortnite, there's no real tournament structure. For a lot of the existing games like League of Legends, the big esports powerhouses, they have franchised sport, like franchised teams.
Leagues. Yeah,
teams, and they actually own the league.
Gotcha. Very interesting. All right, don't touch that dial. The Sports Econ 101 will be right back. All right, so that was our second segment.
Great.
Our second long segment. We got one more, and then we'll have some closing comments, and then we'll be done. Because we want people, want to be able to promote your, have people get a hold of you.
Gotcha.
And again, so Sports Byline USA claims that at any point we have a couple 100,000 listeners, but we're national. So, I mean, if we're on 200 stations, there might only be 10,000 people, or 200 stations, there might only be 1,000 people listening.
Right.
But you never know. But the thing is, you can use the podcast that will be airing as well as the YouTube, however you want.
Perfect.
Yeah. I don't put any restrictions on that kind of stuff. It's very interesting. Yeah. Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with my special guest, Aaron Hawkey, co-founder of High School Esports League. So, first of all, before we forget, how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in this High School Esports League?
Yeah, our website is hsel.org, or you can type in highschoolesportsleague.com, but I'm sure HSEL would be a lot easier for you guys to find. Okay, very good. How did you get involved in doing this? Well, when I was in high school, it's something that I really wanted. I mean, I wasn't super engaged in high school. I had good grades, but I would skip out on class a lot, and I would be playing video games a lot. So I'd stay up until like 3 a.m. just playing video games, sleep in it for a couple of classes, and then come into school. But I still managed to have good grades, which was great. But where'd you go to college? UC Santa Cruz. Okay. What games did you play in high school? League of Legends mainly. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's been around for a while. It's been around for a while. It's been a huge powerhouse in esports. But yeah, it's something that I really wanted in high school. I had a couple friends. I had a huge, actually, pretty big friend group that played League of Legends, and they all felt the same way, and they had a lot of the same habits that I did, playing until late at night, and I was like, man, why isn't the school like taking advantage of this? This is a huge group of students that they could be tapping into to try to re-engage them into school and maybe practice. It's kind of brilliant, because I mean, you've taken an idea and turned it into a business. Yeah, exactly. Very entrepreneurial. Thank you. Very good. So you go to the high schools and you try to. But how do you explain to them to say, hey, we want to get kids involved in extracurricular activities? I mean, it's pretty much, yeah. And we have a lot of incentive programs to make it super easy for them to start clubs. We have fundraising options. So one big thing is that we're partnered with Twitch. They're a live streaming platform, and they're the biggest live streaming platform for video games. And basically, a school can sign up for a Twitch account and be able to make money off of it. And that's something that's pretty coveted in the esports scene. Not everybody can make money off of Twitch.
Well, you know what's interesting is like sometimes you'll see on TV commercials, and you'll be famous basketball players, and you'll see them. You won't necessarily see what they're playing per se, but it may be a commercial about pizza or something. But they're on, not on their computer per se, but what do they call it? Like a switch. I'm losing my train of thought here. Like a pilot switch or something. What are they? The handheld, almost like a Game Boy or something. They'll have something in their hand. Controller.
Like a. Are you talking about like a Nintendo DS or the Nintendo
something,
Switch?
Yeah, or PlayStation 4 or something like that, right?
Exactly, one of the consoles, right?
Yeah, the consoles. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. So, and they'll just be goofing around, and that's not even really part of the commercial per se, but a lot of these guys do play that, and they might play basketball. I mean, I could see, I could even see basketball games that are, the video games of basketball.
Yeah.
People watching that.
And that's actually something that's really growing too. The NBA 2K scene, they just launched their league, and the NBA is actually running the 2K league. So that's something to look out for too.
Okay. I'm trying to think. See, I don't know enough about the basketball video games to see. I know a little bit about it because I remember when I was a kid, they had football,
right?
But it was kind of goofy.
Yeah,
when
they've come a long way since then.
I'm sure they have.
So you can basically make your own character and have your own stats and attributes and different things like that, and you play on a team of 5 against another team of 5, just like regular old basketball.
And I can see golf too, because like I've downloaded one of those golf games, and I mean, it gets a little annoying when it's like, okay, we'll pick what plaid sweater you're going to wear. It's like, I don't care about that. I just want to play the game. Just hit the ball. You know? But I could see that kind of, and the archery game too is kind of fun too. But boy, I mean, just being in the high school esports, I mean, it really opens up a whole bunch of different kinds of games, like not just League of Legends.
Yeah, and that's why we're pretty much game agnostic. So we have 14 different games. We're constantly trying to
game agnostic. Okay,
we're trying to bring as many games on as possible and try to reach as many students as we can. That's the important part, is trying to get all the students there.
The thing that's kind of cool about it too is that a lot of times, like as parents, we would tell our kids stop playing so many video games, stop watching too much TV or whatever. I wonder though, not everyone's going to be professional. Not everyone's going to make a living or whatever. But I guess one does have to be a little bit careful, because again, you don't want the parents having to tell the kids, listen, stop spending 20 hours in front of the video game watching somebody else play a video game. But on the other hand, those kids who are generally loners, if it's involved in sort of a high school togetherness on a team,
that's exactly what we do. Yeah, try to re-engage the students into the school and participate in a team in kind of a live atmosphere.
Yeah, because you could have school on school.
Exactly, and that's what we do at the High School Esports League. We have students compete nationally and participate against other schools.
It's so funny. I was thinking about, I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, it's sort of, the jocks versus the nerds, and they had these, these silly little games.
Yeah, exactly.
But I could kind of see where, you have certain schools where, kids, they don't qualify for football or basketball or baseball, whatever. But this might be something that they could excel at.
Exactly. That's kind of the goal. And also, you mentioned, like some kids might not be a healthy thing to do. Yeah. But that's something that we also aim to fix. Getting involved with the schools and having the schools engage with those students and kind of promote healthy lifestyles and habits. Okay.
Well, and on that topic, it reminds me, I was watching, I think I mentioned this to you before, I was watching ESPN literally last night. They had I only caught a little part of it, but they had Bill Walton on there. And I guess somehow he's involved in this esports. And I mean, they'll sell out, Staples Center and all that. And and the interviewer was asking about, how much in shape these kids have to be. And Bill actually kind of made an interesting topic. He says, they have to do things to keep their minds focused, especially if you're going to be spending that much time in front of a computer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a mental game, and anything that affects your mental cognition is really important. So
yeah, here's another thing I could think of. What about those boxing games, right? I mean, could you instead of people actually hitting each other, you could have the guys wear the gloves, however,
Yes.
It's sort of like a big,
kind of in a
like
virtual reality.
Yeah,
type
virtual
thing.
reality thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you could kind of, I could kind of see that too.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the game space is going to.
Okay.
It's just the technology is not 100% there yet, but that's 10 years down the line for sure.
Okay.
Something
Well, it's funny because literally about 10 years ago, I guess maybe a little longer, Wii came out, right?
Yeah.
And it was really kind of fun. I mean, they even had like Wii bowling leagues.
Yeah.
And you could play tennis, and I tell you, even the boxing one. I mean, I'd get a little workout with that with my
totally
kid.
Do. Yeah, I totally remember playing that. Yeah.
I mean, the video game, you probably don't get quite as much of a workout per se.
Yeah.
I'll bet there'd be a lot of people with carpal tunnel syndrome and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and that's something that also that esports athletes have to watch out for, and a lot of the pro organizations have a lot of those people on staff to make sure that the pros are finely tuned machines, and they don't have to worry about carpal tunnel. They have all the ergonomic material and stuff that they need to be able to participate effectively.
I mean, I would think that massage therapists would do really well.
Yeah.
Just hanging out at that place.
Yeah, for sure. And there's even esports psychologists, so they even go over like the psychological aspect. There's a huge industry around the pro teams and trying to support the nutritional aspect, the lifestyle aspect of the esports.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, because I can see that if your diet isn't very good and you're somewhat stationary, compared to playing basketball as an example.
Yeah.
But fascinating. You don't have to worry about weather.
Nope.
And now I'm going to just totally. Well, I'm not even going to guess, but why is the Midwest seem to be a bigger hub for you?
It just might be that the schools are more receptive to the idea of competitive sports and different things like that. I know Marin has had some issues with football in the past, so there might be some issues around just competitive sports in general. But the Midwest has always been a driver of competitive sports and everything like that. So it's kind of easy and tangible for them to take video games and put it in its place almost.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
That's at least my theory. But a lot of our schools are coming out of the Midwest and also the closer to the East Coast as well.
Interesting. I was thinking maybe the West Coast because they have, with good weather and all that, kids are outside playing soccer.
That's quite possible. Yeah. And LA is a huge driver. They have a lot of the game studios. Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, they're in Santa Monica, and there's kind of a whole esports community around there. So they're kind of the driver in the industry. That's where the industry for esports is.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like right now, they're selling out like Staples Center and that sort of thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone buys a piece of land and builds their own little state-specific stadium.
Yeah, it's been done. There's one in Dallas or the Fort Worth area. That they built out. I think Infinite Esports was involved with that. They're an owner of a lot of franchises within the esports space. They own Optic Gaming, which has a huge root in the first-person shooter, but they also bought into the League of Legends franchise. And there's huge investments coming out to these teams. Like to buy into the League of Legends franchise, it was like $10 million, $12 million.
Right.
Yeah, and Overwatch was quite similar. That's a newer esport that came out by Blizzard, who also made StarCraft, so they're very familiar with esports. But this Infinite group also has a tie with a franchise in that league, and that they're called the Houston Outlaws.
I mean, you can just keep coming up with new kinds of games. I mean, someone's going to keep coming up with new kinds of games. I mean, also years ago, we're talking probably 20 years ago, laser tag was big, and it's still around. I don't know if people specifically would watch other people play laser tag per se.
Yeah. I don't know 100% sure on that, but I think what the draw is for esports is that it's super easy to engage with. All you need is a computer or a console or anything like that.
Yeah. And
it's super easy and a lot of these games are free to play, so you can just download it onto your computer and get going and just start playing and competing.
That's a very good point, because then your entry level is nothing.
And then also from a viewership perspective, a lot of these games are very, very cinematic. So there's a lot of animations going on. It's very interesting and cool to watch.
See, I remember the old Atari game Pong. I don't know
Yeah.
if you even heard
Not
of
very
that.
cinematic, but
No, exactly. So watching someone play Pong would be quite different than than
very
actually,
different, very different.
But I could see it's amazing some of the graphics.
Yeah.
Hopefully they are going to shy away from a lot of the violent type ones because that seems to be. I mean, I was reading, I'm not reading, but I was playing like shooting pool on my phone, which
Right.
I've become quite proficient at, by the way. Against the computer. And then sometimes, when you're finished with a game, up pops an ad,
Right.
for download this one. And I could not believe that this one was actually like titled High School Shooter. I mean, I'm looking at this going, oh my gosh, how could you advertise a video game specifically? I mean, that's the sort of thing that could easily push a high school kid to. And that's the other thing is that, some of these other games, not necessarily that one, but again, I don't know League of Legends or some of these other ones, but is there also the concern that a lot of the violent type video games are pushing kids to do stupid things?
Some schools have had that concern, but that's not necessarily a real concern. I think a new statistic came out in a recent publishing that 90% of the school shooters historically had no interest in video games whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because like when I was a kid, we also had like these rifle games. Where you aim at a target type of thing, and maybe even you try to shoot people. I had zero interest in taking a real gun and shooting anybody.
Exactly.
I wonder if it's close to this.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of studies out recently that there's no correlation between video games and violence.
Wow. Okay, before we cut to our break, give out your information one more time in case people are interested in hooking up with you.
Yeah, you can check out our website at hsel.org or highschoolesportsleague.com.
Very good. All right, don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with some closing comments. We just have 2 minutes to go, then we're done.
Perfect.
Very interesting stuff. Yeah, you got to get in touch with this guy, Alex, because he's like he's kind of like he's older. He's about 30.
Gotcha.
But I mean, he like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he'd really.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm just surprised that he didn't even write back to me to say that because he and my son get along really well. Very interesting. I'll ask you, like, what do you think the future holds? All right. Away we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special co-host. We'll call you the co-host today. My special guest, Aaron Hawkey, who is the co-founder of High School Esports League. Aaron, where do you see the future?
It's only going to get bigger. I think there was a recent statistic that came out saying that esports was going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry by 2020, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger from there.
I wonder how some of these games try to figure out, something's got to be popular enough for people to play it so that it's well known enough so that other people would want to watch them play.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and that model has been demonstrated endlessly with all the games that have been coming out recently, and they can just capture markets really easily. And I think a pretty standard model for an esports game has really emerged.
I guess I wonder if some of these they try a game out, and then some people just go, "Yeah, this is a terrible game. I'm not interested in playing this."
Oh yeah, there's games. There's games out there that are bad, but there's a lot of games out there, and there's a lot of really good games too.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you again for joining us here at Sports Econ 101. That's Aaron Hawkey, who's a co-founder of High School Esports League, and again, his website. You can just check out High School Esports League, right?
Yep.
And they'll find you. All right, so we're going to cut out today. Here's our thoughts for the day. We always have thoughts for the day at the end. Now, this time we didn't have any sports trivia questions. We're going to save those for Bruce next week. But here's our thoughts for the day. One should never take the easy road, but rather the right road, no matter how long the travel. And the trouble with not having a goal is that you can spend your life running up and down the field and never score. I guess you kind of
it's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good for esports too, I guess, right? We always try to figure out these things. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective. And I guess esports is part of the sports league. And asking that next week, we will be asking sports trivia questions. Thanks for and we're done.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Good.
much.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It was actually very interesting.
Yeah.